Okay, good evening, you guys. So if I sound a little blah right now, it's like Alex and I were just talking. I'm on day 2 of the refresh. So I'm feeling energized, but I can definitely feel the effects of, some tiredness setting in right now. But I am super pumped because this is our first, I guess you could say, kickoff of our weekly Rockstar happy hours. Our team, Alex's team, Realize Rockstars. So these are our happy hours. So every week we're going to be doing these. And like I mentioned on the team page the other day, you guys, I couldn't think of someone better to bring the energy and enthusiasm about this business than Alex. And just to give you a quick little background, her and I met in a hotel bar. I like telling the story.
I love it too.
We were at a Shalene Johnson event. So it was a Smart Success event, probably I want to say like 4 years ago. Yeah, because
it was a little bit.
Years. So it's been that long. And we met at the bar. She was there. I think your sister was there. Your mom was there. And I just met this beautiful blonde who just turned into like an amazing friend down the road. So if you guys have not read Eric Worre's book, GoPro, he really emphasizes the importance of attending these live events. And it's not just to help grow your business, but it's networking like this. I mean, I couldn't imagine her not being in my life. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and mute myself. Wait, if I mute myself, will the recording not record?
No, it'll be fine.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to mute myself.
You'll be good. Oh, thank you so much for that. I know it's like life happens for you all the time, and who would have ever thought that here we'd be like doing team calls together. We hung out the entire Success Club trip, like all this stuff. And she, like Daphne, you guys, has literally watched my life unfold over the last years, which it's always been kind of like, there's a lot of really sad times, and then there's a lot of really, really beautiful times. So I think, that's kind of what I'm here to share with you guys tonight, is how to, like, when the times are bad. Do you allow swearing? Okay. All right. So I do too. But when times are brutal, when they're shitty, like, how do you power it through? How do you still keep this business, in the forefront of what you're doing? And so I'm here to share tonight just my story. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like create slides. I didn't create like a script, because I just kind of feel like where we connect best as human beings is heart to heart. And for me just to share my story with you guys, and for you to ask questions, and we'll go from there. So typically on our team calls, we show up in our PJs and a glass of wine and no makeup. So that's exactly what I am tonight. And so we're just going to be real and raw. And so thank you for giving me the time to speak. So just a little bit about me. And I guess let me take you back to where I started. And this is before Beachbody. My name is Alex. You can probably see that. I am from a small town of Michigan where Friday football is like life. Everybody grows up and marries their high school sweetheart. I'm in a football college town, everything. So you want to think of like small town, easy peasy life. That's where I'm from. And so my story kind of starts there, because I always had these huge dreams growing up. I was like a rebel without a cause to my parents. But I ended up meeting my husband when I was in 6th grade, and we started dating. And so you might think like, oh my God, like, why is she starting here? But trust me, it matters. So anyways, we formed this life together, right? And even as growing up as kids, we just became best friends. We ended up having our son, Zane, and he's going to be turning 12 in a couple of weeks here now, our senior year of high school. And, yeah, like, and some people say like, oh, does it count? I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We ended up staying together. And he went off to boot camp for the Marine Corps. I had scholarships here at a great college, so I went there. And we were like, we're going to do life together. And we had all of our ups and downs of raising a child and going to school and dealing with military life and everything else that came along with it. And then just the normal aspect of marriage as well, and trying to be together. And so we went through a lot of these ups and downs, and one of them was financially. And I remember that I was working full time. This is my coach story. This is where Beachbody comes in. I was working full time, 2 jobs, trying to find a third. My husband was laid off at the time. And my mom, which if you guys follow her, it's Suzanne Beck, we coach together. She's not on this call tonight, but anyway, she's awesome. But she had been doing this for a little while now. And man, I tell you what, I was so freaking jealous, because here she was coaching using Facebook, which she knew nothing about. And mind you, it's like I had just graduated from college and I'm like expecting like, oh my God, I was this teen mom, graduated from college. Like I'm thinking life is going to be like, I beat the odds. Life is going to be good for me from now on. And I'm expecting nothing but greatness from here on out. And I'm getting all these letters saying thanks, but no thanks. And you're great, or you're good, but not great. And so I'm just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so my mom's over here, like killing Beachbody. And we'd always kind of like had this like fitness connection together. She had helped me lose my baby weight after I had my son, because I figured that Big Macs and chocolate shakes and a large fry with a Diet Coke just to be healthy wasn't going to keep me on track after having him. And so we had bonded over fitness, and she had started like P90X, and her and my dad got like absolutely jacked. Like even my friends would run into them at the grocery store. Mind you, small town here. My friends would run into them at the grocery store and they'd be like, oh my God, Alex, like your mom looks like a bodybuilder now. She looks amazing. And they just were doing P90X. That's all they were doing. So she ends up signing up for this coaching thing. And she had asked me to do it. She's like, Alex, like, you love this. Like, this is like, if we got together and we were sitting, at dinner, we would talk about fitness for hours, or nutrition, or we were constantly sending each other, recipes or trying new things. And so when she started coaching, she's like, Alex, you have to do this. You have to look into this. And I was just like, absolutely, like, fuck no. I will never, ever coach, because one, you might raise your hand, I had done network marketing before, and I had hurt my pride. I had wasted a ton of money. I had seen my friends, like I kind of thought like network marketing was for like stay-at-home moms who just needed something better to do than to like change diapers and heat up formula or breastfeed or whatever else they were doing. And I had kind of like a chip on my shoulder about it. And so when she said that she was doing it, I was like, that's great for you, but it'll never be for me. Until fast forward, my husband and I are broke. I'm just a recent college grad. I'm thinking that all these years of working those late nights and going to school, graduating, like all this stuff, trying to like manage being a mama, having a young child, balancing military life on top of that. I'm thinking to myself like, oh my gosh, this has to pay off. Like this is going to be my big break. And again, it was all these things, but no thanks. And so at this point in time, I'm desperate for like $20 of my own money so that like when the girls at work go to happy hour, I can partake. I can partake in the $2 or $3 well drinks and the half off apps for like one round and then like excuse myself out, right? And then also, it's like when all the girls at work are going to get coffee, if somebody's going on a coffee run, it's like I want to be able to pitch in my money. So like my goal was legitimately, if I just want an extra $20 to myself that's not already like sent to this bill or whatever. So I checked my bank account one day, and it literally, I had, mind you, all of our bills. My husband's laid off at this point in time. I'm the breadwinner of the family at this point. We had $29 to our name. I still had to buy groceries and pay 2 other bills with those $29. And you tell me how far that's going to get you. It's like, it's not very far. So I'm sitting there and I messaged my mom. I was like, tell me what I need to do and I will do this, because I want $20 of my own that I don't have to feel guilty about. I'm working 2 full-time jobs. I'm trying to find a third, and a business is not what I want to run. I just want some fun money. I'm trying to shower alone without somebody needing something from me. Like, I don't have the time to do this. I don't want to be associated with this. And so she's like, okay. So at this point in time, she's about sick of my like excuses. She's sick of hearing me complain. And she's really sick and tired. Like, she wasn't going to treat me like, you guys have coaches on your team where sometimes you feel a little bad, like giving them like the tough love, like what it actually takes. Like she had none of that. Like she was like out there to just be like, no, like this is what you're going to do. And if you don't, you're going to fail. And then you're going to be worse off and like blah, blah, blah. Like she was like hardcore with me. So I was the coach that told her I will never do personal development. I won't get on team calls. I won't do what I'm supposed to do basically, but I just expect a paycheck. And, granted, I ate my words because I fell in love with this company over the summer. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like there's opportunities beyond, what I have anywhere else. Like I'm not getting told you're good, but not great, and thanks, but no thanks. Like this is like, oh, hey, if you're willing to show up and do the work, here's the opportunity. And that's all I was looking for, because especially as a teen mom, as somebody who was going to school, I was just like, oh my gosh, I just need an opportunity because I've got the work ethic. I will work harder than anybody else. I will bring that enthusiasm because I'm used to this. And so I fell in love with this company. I fell in love with the products and the integrity and the people I started looking up to. Such people like Daphne, you know, along my journey. And all of a sudden I was like, I want to be these people. Like, these weren't stay-at-home moms who had nothing better to do than to try and sell. And not to diss on moms that do that, but like, I was so wrong in my, I guess, perception of network marketing. And so when I was like looking at this company, I was like, oh my God, this, like, there's so much opportunity and this could change my life. Because I always felt like I was meant to do something great. Anybody else feel like that? Like, you don't know what it is, but there's something about you. There's something like your heart is meant to be more, do more, give more, share more, love more than what you're doing right now. And somehow this opportunity fills that void. Somehow this opportunity is like, oh my God, like, this could be it. And I don't even know what it is, but something about this could be it. Like, that's how I felt. And so all of a sudden, like, I'm probably sitting there. I don't know what exact moment it was. It was probably over a good bottle of Pinot Noir and just like daydreaming and like thinking about my life. And I was just like, I was looking around and I realized that my husband's income was never going to give us a life that we had talked about, we had dreamed about. And I also realized that the jobs that I was currently working were never going to give me, you know, that freedom. Freedom's everything to me. It's really not about money. I mean, I do think that money does correlate to freedom. I do believe that. But I wanted to be with who I wanted to be with, where I wanted to be with, when I wanted to be with them, and doing whatever I wanted to do with those people. And so to me, I'm looking at my life, and like at that point, I'm stressing about, I hope my kid doesn't like get hurt because I don't have health insurance. And I hope that I don't get sick because I can't afford to call into work. I might lose my job if I do, you know? And so all of a sudden I was just like, I want to go for this. This is my jam. I know I can do this. I don't have all the answers, but God damn it, I'm good at figuring shit out because I've done it. I've done it for the rest of my life so far. And so I decided this is my thing. I'm going to go for it. And so I did. And it took me a little bit because I was stubborn as hell and I refused to get over my fear. I was a person who would not invite because I was so afraid about what people would think, even though you see this personality and like, sometimes I think that people are like, oh, you're so bold, you're so confident. And like, yes, I was, but not with this. And I was so afraid of hearing that no. And I was so afraid of hearing, you know, oh my God, what are you going to do? I was so afraid of me walking into a room and people whispering and saying, oh, she started one of those things. Like, she must not be doing well in life. And that was my biggest fear, like, because I was so self-conscious about being that teen mom and struggling, that the last thing I wanted people to think was like, oh, I joined this company because I was at my like wit's end kind of thing. Because I saw so much in this. But then I did it. I was able to quit my jobs. I was able to come home, which was perfect timing because at that point in time, my husband had found more work and we were doing better. Our marriage had been restored. You know, we were like struggling at that point in time because I think, as anybody knows, being young parents, you got the military, you got all these stressors, plus finances on top of that. We were very much like, we were working against each other, not for each other. And so when I came home and we started sharing this vision together, take your spouses on Success Club trips, by the way. Take them to Summit. Take them to the parties. They will support you 2,000% after that. Get them involved with you. This is not your thing. This is our thing, you know? And all of a sudden, like, I came home and our marriage got so good. You know, we were each other's best friends again. Even though we had known each other, we had grown up together, we all of a sudden became like our visions for our lives. Like, somehow they were kind of like this before, and then they went like this. And we felt like we were really like running as a team. And so we celebrated a good few years of me being home and doing this, and he was working. But then one day, and this is where the story gets pretty sad, I got a phone call, and the day was just like any other. It was a Sunday morning. And I had left that morning to go to a bridal shower. And it was like the most beautiful September morning ever. Like, the skies are so blue. The leaves are just starting to change, so it just feels like fall, but it's still warm enough so like you could sleep outside at a tent if you wanted with your kids, and which is what he and Zane did. But I got this phone call saying from my son later that afternoon, I had left to go to a bridal shower. Hey, Mom, you need to come home. I think Dad's dead. And I was like, no, like, you're fine. Like, it's okay. Like, what's going on? But I had this like pit in my stomach that like I couldn't ignore. And I was with my mom, and I was riding with my mom actually, because it was a family shower. And I said, you need to turn around right now. Something's wrong. And so we rushed. And I told my son Zane, I said, you need to call 911. You know, I'm going to be there as fast as I can. I got there faster than 911. And what I walked into, I won't share with you guys, but it was true. My husband had died in our home. He was with my son, and he had died in a gun accident. And I remember just holding his hand and just hanging on to him and saying, it's okay, I'm here. Like, we're going to get through this, and it's going to be fine. Like, you're okay, you're okay. And that was so much of me, like, was so unwilling to, like, realize that I wasn't in control and that I couldn't change this. And of course, I think any of us, for anybody we love, would just be like, nope, that's not happening. It's not happening. And so finally EMS gets there, and they gave me the news, and they're like, no, like, he's gone. And then all of a sudden my house is getting packed up, and I'm moving, and, you know, I don't want to stay there because that was our home. We were working on moving into our first house, and we're working on raising our family, and finally getting to, you know, we always talked about, like, we're never, at that point, we were never where our peers were. We had always been like the teen parents. We had always been the college kids with a kid. And we had always like felt like we were just a little bit behind. You know, when everybody else is getting married and going on vacation and celebrating or buying their first home, and everybody's got those pretty engagement pictures, we were the ones who were like, you know, trying to make ends meet and trying to make bills work and trying to juggle schedules, and sometimes one vehicle, and sometimes, you know, all the other things. And so when I moved, you know, we moved, and it's like you lost not only just your spouse, your life, but all your dreams, and the what could have been, what should have been, what you guys had planned, you know, the life that your heart felt so strong about. I had so many hopes and dreams for us, and in a moment they're ripped away. And so, which leads me to my call tonight, because all this happened when I was working Beachbody, and I was doing it solely. That was my full-time job, and it still is. And so Daphne wanted me to share, how do you maintain a business when something like this happens? And, you know, I hope that this doesn't sound too light. You know, when I talk about this, I'm very comfortable. We went through a lot of therapy and personal development to be able to stand here today and to share it. And actually, I'm very proud of my story, because I'm very proud of what I did to overcome it. And so I'm here to share with you tonight about how to, like, when life feels hard, and it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that. Sometimes it's that school starting. Sometimes it's that you're moving. Sometimes it's that you're in a fight with somebody who's really close to you and it hurts. Or you're trying to create boundaries because you're growing and people don't understand that. And I'm here to just kind of share what I did in the toughest point in my life, and how I stayed focused on my business, and how I was able to actually use that to heal and to grow from it. So first things first, I was bound and determined after he died to not be a statistic. And quite honestly, I felt the same way when I had my son in high school. I was like, I don't want to be that high school dropout. I don't want to be the girl that didn't get an education or didn't have success in her life because of having a child, for choosing to have a child that young. And so when I first started looking for role models, which we do in this business too, we look for, you know, mentors. We look for people who we can look up to and say, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. And I had learned that from this business. And what I found was that there was nobody out there, at least that I could find. And everybody told me, you're going to be damaged. You're going to be ruined. You're never going to be the same. And that really scared me, because I was so lost and so broken. I was begging God to take me in my sleep. Like I wasn't ever like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like I wasn't suicidal, but like I felt like I had nothing to live for anymore. And so I was begging God that something like an accident would happen or whatever else. Because as far as I was concerned, at that point in time, and I'm not like proud to say this, but if we're just being honest, like you lose that and you just feel like there's so much of you that's died. And then when I was looking and trying to find people and like seeing that nobody else was okay, it kind of like reinforced that, right? I was kind of like, well, I would never do that because I don't want to, like, I don't want my son to lose two parents. But if there was an accident, I wouldn't be opposed to it. And so then one day I was laying in bed and I was suffering severe panic attacks. Like, they would come on so strongly. I was living on a diet of Xanax and alcohol. My doctor was happy to prescribe me all the Xanax that she could to keep me from worrying. And I appreciated that in the beginning, but then it becomes kind of a dependency because if you have to feel something, it's too much. And then alcohol, because we had people coming over all the time trying to like hang out and see you. And then that was also a way to be social, and it made me feel normal again. And I just remember suffering severe panic attacks and anxiety and not eating. And it was in one of those panic attacks, and I felt like in my head, I was just screaming to God, like, oh my God, just please take me. I can't do this. Like, I'm not strong enough. I feel like I've been through enough. I know what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but please, for the love of Christ, like, please take me. Like, I can't do this. My child's been through enough. I've been through enough. And I literally was like raising my white flag. And I swear to you, no matter what you believe in, whether it's angels, universe, God, whoever, I heard this voice that said, get the fuck up. I am not done with you yet. You are here to serve and to prove people wrong. And at that point in time, I like kind of stopped and I looked around and I was just like, okay. And from that point on, it wasn't that it was easy. It was just that I started making these small decisions to like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to brush my teeth. And that's going to be a win for me because at this point in my life, I don't really care about brushing my teeth. And then the next day I would try to add one more thing to it. And from what I learned from Beachbody was that we had to focus on gratitude because what you focus on, you feel. It's another Tony Robbins thing. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. What you focus on, you feel, and you will attract more into your life. And so when I started to feel stronger, all I knew was our 4 vital behaviors, you guys. And it sounds cliche and it sounds silly, but I knew that I had to invite and talk to people, which I wasn't ready to do, but I knew at some point I needed to. But I needed to take care of myself, you know, like product of the product. I knew that Xanax and alcohol weren't good for me, so I was probably going to have to start eating right again. I knew that workouts made me feel confident and stronger because after I had lost all that baby weight from having Zane, I knew what the transformation did physically, but more so I knew what it did mentally for me. And that's where I felt the strongest. And so I knew that like for me to be able to tackle this life by myself, I was going to have to start taking care of me the way I needed to. And so I started diving back into my workouts, and I chose max 30 because to me, every moment, every second that I was stronger than the day before or the week before, I was a stronger person from when he died. And so I was tracking my max out, not for my physical strength, but for my mental strength, because I wasn't giving up as fast. I wasn't throwing up my white flag as fast. And then, so I did that. And then I dove into personal development. And I swear this is what saved me so much was like, I did Miracle Morning and I would journal and I would talk about what I was grateful for. And there are some days, I'm not kidding you, the only thing I was grateful for is that I got the coffee and creamer ratio right. And I was like, okay, that was the only good thing that happened today, and I'll be okay with that. And I didn't judge myself for it. Like, I let myself feel what I needed to feel, but I made the effort to take care of myself. And eventually that led to that I knew this. When I found that there was nobody who had proved any of this community wrong, that I had to be that person, that it was my responsibility to show others what was possible, even in life's biggest tragedies, that it was my responsibility to heal myself and to share with others, like, dude, if I can do this, if I can go through this, you can. And 9 out of 10 times my tragedy will be worse than anybody else's. And so that's what, and I was like thinking, I was like, oh my God, this makes me the perfect coach because I can relate to all of it. I can relate to every single person's frustration and their desperation. I've been broken to all levels. I have been emotionally, spiritually, just hurt. And there was nobody else who was there to blaze that trail that I found. So I was like, I'm going to do it. And so for me, how I chose to look at this business was a gift because I was given this platform before all this happened. I was given this platform because I wanted $20 to go to happy hour. I was given this platform because I wanted to make a difference and I didn't know how. And I liked fitness, and my mom, I was jealous of her because, she was a stay-at-home mom her entire life, but then she's making like $400 a week at the time. Now she's doing way better, but she was making like $400 a week playing on Facebook, which she didn't even know how to use. And I'm trying to like work like with my degrees in behavioral science, which is psychology and sociology. And it's like, I'm like making more money waiting tables and serving people drinks as a bartender. And I was just like, I was so like, that's why this popped into my life, because I knew, like, looking back, I needed this because this not only healed me, but it gave me the platform to share my journey and to help other people overcome whatever it was that they were doing. So how did I stick with this business when I literally did? I wanted to say, fuck it. Like, I don't care about challenge packs. I don't care about Shakeology. I don't care about anything else because, like, dude, like, what just the fuck happened in my life? Here's what I looked at. When I started reaching back out to people, if I could help somebody in some way for a moment, it took away the amount of pain I was in. And Tony Robbins always said, the secret to living is giving. And so if my post helps somebody, if my messages help somebody, if the fact that I started sharing like my max out times with people, and I was so real and raw. Like, I had no intention of like growing like there was no infinity. There's no Insta stories during this time. It was just like, literally I was sharing just, it was cathartic to me. And I just started knowing that, like, if I could make somebody's moment better, then my moment wasn't going to be as bad. And they were all bad at that point in time. And so I started like living to get up. It gave me a reason to put my feet on the ground, because even if it was for 5 minutes, you guys, like, I didn't become this like powerhouse right after that. Even if it was like for 5 minutes and I answered like maybe a handful of messages, I knew that because I did, somebody's life was better for it, and in a small way that made mine worth living. And then I realized as I started to do it more, I was feeling better and I was in more of a positive space. And so I wanted to reach out, and I started learning that a lot of people have gone through a lot of fucking hurt. A lot of people, and maybe it's not this, but there's miscarriages, there's divorce, there's loss of jobs, loss of income, there's, and all the stuff that like I would have maybe like just checked off the bullet point before. Because I had been through this, I knew the pain now, and I knew what that felt like. And I thought I did before, but like not like I do now. And so I was so like, it just made me so happy to be able to give something back when I felt so broken. And so in the tough times in your business, we have to change our verbiage. It can't be, oh, this is going on in my life, so I can't step out. I can't reach out to somebody else. We have to say, because this is going on in my life, we have to do this. It's our calling, because this is a blessing. And no matter where you're at in your business, what rank, how much ever money you make, it doesn't matter. Somebody gave you this opportunity because you have something to say. And your life experiences, no matter what they are, how good they've been or how sad they've been or whatever, that's why you're qualified. You're qualified because you're breathing. You're qualified because you are existing. And your life experiences are all the credentials you need to make a difference in somebody's life. And so once you harness that, and once you just attack your day in that kind of frame of mindset, all of a sudden, all these people become, oh my God, I don't have to reach out to them. I want to. I can't hold back from doing this. And and sometimes I get a little like, I'm like, oh, people know my story. Like, I don't have to share. And it'll be 2 years on September 11th, actually. So it's coming up. And I've been through a lot of like the ups and downs of family and going back and forth. And, but I'm so happy to say that because I started to reach out, not only you guys, I'm so happy. Like, and sometimes I feel bad for saying that, but then I'm like, fuck that. I don't deserve to feel bad. Like, I've already felt bad. So like, be happy, right? That's what he would want. Leave a legacy. If it's not for you, for somebody else, leave somebody to say like, because she did that, I'm so fucking proud of her. It's like, I always would joke like, oh, I hope he's up there being like, yep, that was my girl. Like, yeah, I'll take credit for that. Maybe, who knows? But I also wanted my son to like he had already seen this like life that was of struggle and I guess hardship. And I don't think he realized it when he was little, when we were together, but he was the one who found his dad. He was the one who had to deal with his own grief and to move forward. And we went through that grief journey together. And he is the most positive person now. Like, he's amazing because we did this together. And like, it was like the tools that I had. And that showed me that's the impact that this business makes. Because I tell you what, you guys, if I didn't have that, if I didn't have like at least a guideline of what to do, I can't promise you that I wouldn't have been that mom who was like strung out on pills and vodka trying to like wish her pain away, or looking for love in all the wrong places because she couldn't, she didn't feel it for herself. And so this business is magical. And so when you are going through hard times, that's when I would argue you have to dig in deeper. That's when our calling says, hey, listen, you got this opportunity. And right now it might feel like nothing to you, but for somebody else going through something, it's everything. And like for me at that point in time, that was like my lifeline. That's what I clung to. And so you just don't know what people are going through. And admittedly, there are times now where I get like, sometimes your power hour feels like a chore versus a gift to give to people. Like, let's just be honest. It is sometimes. Sometimes life gets busy. Like, okay, right now, I just bought a house. So that was a really cool thing. That was exciting for me because it was like, oh my God, it kind of felt like an I made it moment, because it was something that my husband and I would always wanted to do. And then here I am, and thanks to Beachbody, I can do it by myself and, provide this safe haven and the sanctuary for my son after, and it's beautiful, after everything. And, it's just like all these things, but like on top of that, you get kind of removed from your trauma and your pain. And then all of a sudden this starts to feel like a job again. I mean, I feel like it's the elephant in the room, but sometimes it does. And we have to go back to that person, maybe think of me, in that this was my lifeline because somebody, well, it was my mom, but because somebody had reached out to me and said, hey, listen, you might not need this right now, but take a look. You never know. And at the moment I needed it for $20. But now, like, this is like, oh my God, if I didn't believe in this business before, I 2000% believe in it now. And it's just like, you can't help but share it with people. And like, mind you, you can't do it for people. They're going to make it what it's going to be for them. For me, it was an opportunity to do so much. But, when it's hard, the drive to be more, to do more, to give more, to not be a statistic, to be legendary and to leave a legacy, so that maybe you don't have a husband up in heaven that's like, oh yeah, I was her, but maybe your kids like, that's my dad, that's my mom. Or maybe they don't even, maybe they will never even have to know struggle because of this. Maybe they're too young right now to even realize how hard you work, but when they're older, they look back and they go, dude, we had it so good. It's like to change the shape of destiny. So I know this all sounds very Miss America, but for me, when I'm having a hard time and I don't want to do my to-do list, I want to do my power, I don't want to talk to people that day because my life feels like it needs more attention. Number one, it's okay. My grandma gave me the best advice ever, and it was like, when stuff gets hard, give yourself 24 hours to scream, sulk, cry, feel sorry for yourself. But after that 24 hours is up, or anytime before then, it's time to like put your like PMA on, positive mental attitude, and it's time to move forward, and it's time to like get over it. And there's no more whining about it. And so, I did that. I took multiple 24 hours after my husband died. Sometimes I still do. And, but I think even in this business, when life gets crazy, like back to school, whatever else is going on right now, like 24 hours tops, that's all the time you get to feel bad. But then we have this gift, we have this responsibility, because you don't know what person is maybe going to lose their husband in the future. Maybe is going to become a single mom. Maybe is going to, I don't even know. That's just my story. And so I always tell people, I'm like, if it's not for you right now, that's cool. It wasn't for me when I first had it, like, put in front of me either. But you never know down the road. Now looking back, I'm really glad I took a look at it. It'd be well worth your while just to glance it over. And, so I feel like I look at this business that way, like when it gets tough, when it gets hard, and it feels like it's just that chore, it's that one more thing to do. Or when you feel like you're going through so much that you can't possibly give to anybody else, you just have to remember, like, where they are right now is not where they're going to stay. And it's not our responsibility to get them to say yes. It's our responsibility to give them the opportunity to do so. And that's all. Because what is meant for them will not pass them, just like you guys. What's meant for you will not pass you. That's why you're here tonight. That's why you saw the opportunity. And the right people are going to say, hey, yeah, that might be for me. And that person might want $20. And then in a couple of years, they might be like me, where this is their full-time career. And that bless them with the opportunity, not just to be financially able to be home, but I look back at, like, I got to spend 2 years at home with my husband. We had a tumultuous relationship prior to. And then our last 2 years together, because that time you can never get back, but it was time that I was home. It was time that we were traveling. It was time that we were on these Success Club trips. It was time that we were actually, like, had the freedom to, like, be ourselves and to, like, just grow as a couple and love each other the way that I think that we are kind of intended to. And before he died, like, I don't have any regrets because of that time that I had. And so you just never know who that person's going to be. And I'm just one example of probably hundreds of thousands of people. So I guess that's my story in a nutshell. If I skipped over anything, I'm sure I'll remember it when I'm laying in bed at night. But if there's any questions, I'm happy to stick around and to answer and just chit chat with you guys.
That was so amazing. So amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, even though I've known your story, I didn't know, like, the whole backstory. So it just,
Sure.
no, it was beautiful. And yeah, so thank you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute, or if you can't unmute yourself, I can unmute for you. Anybody?
I know I'm probably going to think of like 100 things, like when I'm laying in bed tonight, and I'm going to be like, oh, I should have said this, but that's all right.
Hey, Kevin.
Hello. Yeah, Alex, I want to say thank you for sharing your story. That was great and very touching. And you know, I actually have to share a little tidbit of my life because it kind of relates to what you went through.
I'd love to hear it.
Sure. Last summer, I was actually doing shift shop here at home, and in the process, I had a heart attack. And luckily my wife was still at home, and she was able to rush me to the ER. And, you know, a long story short, here, I'm still here. So, but yeah, I know a little bit about how everything in life can change. And,
the moment.
Yeah. Yes. So, and, you know, I wrote a few things down that you said. You were talking about being in a job that you didn't really like. And, you know, it's just like, I can definitely relate to that. You know, I back in 2014, I was actually unemployed, and that's when I got into Beachbody. And then, you know, long story short, I've had to go back to work, and now I'm in a place where I absolutely hate it. And so that's actually really my push, my drive to, like, just, you know, every night I've been, like, here inviting 20 people every night, and, you know, going for 100 no's every month. And, you know, I'm going to get there. So.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Like, of course you will.
I follow you a lot on, obviously, Facebook, main platform. Where do you see the most growth in your business recently? Is it from Instagram stories or still from Facebook? Because that's been your community for the last few years.
Facebook was my jam for the longest time. Like, I felt like I could do it in my sleep. And so when Instagram, like, when all these coaches were like, oh my God, if you're not on Insta stories, like, you're missing out, I was kind of upset about that, because I was like, I love Facebook. It's so easy. Of course, it's your comfort zone. So recently it has been Instagram. So I rarely ever post on Facebook anymore. Every once in a while I do. But Instagram and Insta stories and just growing that. What's cool about Insta stories is that you can just kind of be like a geeky nerd. And, you know, it's like, I was trying to make it like really cool. Like, I don't know if you guys like follow like Jatana Jackson, and it's like, she's got like these beautiful like videos and everything. Like, I'm not that person. I show up like this, and I like swear at my dog and like all that stuff. But like, to me, if my followers are going to like that, they're going to like my stories, we're probably going to vibe as a team. We're probably going to want to like hang out in our team calls in our sweaters and a glass of wine and just talk and have heart to hearts. And so I do feel like it's easier to make connections over on Insta stories now, because you post on your stories and people feel like they know you. And where Facebook's like a novel to me. Like if I have like a soapbox thing to say, I definitely post it on Facebook. But if I'm just kind of like playing around and taking people through my day, Instagram. And yeah, so right now I definitely feel like that's a good place. I also heard like some stats, and don't quote me, but there's like 800 million users on Insta stories every day versus like 2 something on Snap, and which I wasn't really big on Snap before. Insta stories is like Snap on steroids, so I feel like it's just more fun anyways. But then I know there's like a large number now where people are kind of deactivating their Facebook accounts. So I wouldn't ignore it personally. Like I still get, right now I'm finding a lot of my coaches on Facebook, a lot of challengers on Instagram. And I think Facebook is just probably because they've just kind of grown a following. Like they know me, they've kind of seen like my long rants, and they've seen my soapbox posts. But then challengers are more likely to join me over on Instagram. So I wouldn't get rid of either or, but definitely a focus on Insta stories just kind of takes the pressure off of Facebook.
Okay.
What about you, actually? I'm curious.
So exact same story. Like I love Facebook, and I feel like that's like I could pour heart into it and value. So I'm the same thing. I don't have fancy Instagram stories, and a lot of my team are of your younger crowd, you know, and so I'm like, I can't do all those integrations of music and, you know, whatever. So I truly look like a 42-year-old on Instagram stories trying to use Instagram stories. But I just,
it worked.
I'm gonna be 42. So it's like I'm finally getting into the groove of it, but that's kind of what I'm starting to train our newer coaches on too, is like, don't start building so much on Facebook, like really start creating your brand over on Instagram.
Yeah, I wouldn't ignore Facebook by any means, because like it's just been a constant through everything. But right now, I think that I think that they know on Instagram, people are going to like be more apt to message you. Like you promote yourself a lot more on Instagram. On Facebook, it's kind of everybody's like baby mama drama and everything else, and it's kind of like a diary. And so I feel like sometimes when you message people over on Facebook, they're kind of like, what do you want? Like they take it all personally. I think Shalene even said like Instagram is kind of like she was using Twitter, but now I use it for my team. I'm like, well, Instagram's kind of like the cocktail party where it's like cool to walk up to like whoever and just be like, hi, how are you? This is who I am, and this is what I do. Like that's like the networking event. But Facebook's kind of like if you were to invite somebody to like have like a intimate dinner with you, like they kind of like, oh, hey, like I don't know you that well yet. And so I kind of
your front door.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, no. So yeah, I mean, I think that one day it'll come back around again, but you know, that's what's cool about our business. It's always changing. Love it or hate it.
Well, and I heard that, you know, everybody's such in a hurry with life, and so they want things in an instant, hence Instagram. And, you know, they want to see just a little tidbit of what's going on. They don't want to see or read a big, long dissertation.
I was just talking with my boyfriend too. So I did meet somebody else after Rodney, which was really cool, and he's been great. So he's like a brand new baby to like social media. And so he's just discovered Snapchat and thinks it's like the coolest thing ever. And I was telling him about Instagram, and so he hates Facebook. And I was just like, basically, yeah, like Facebook is everybody's drama, and it's like this long, and it's like subtle jabs at other people for the most part. And then Instagram is kind of like it's like a highlight reel. It's like everybody's just like you can't get drama from a picture. You can't get drama from an Insta story. And so I feel like it's just like a lighter hearted place to be. And so it's just attracting more people at this point in time. So if you can be a part of it, I mean, it's cool. And people love when you're entertaining. Like so many times I talk about like my dog. Like I have a 2-year-old German Shepherd, and she's just like, she's a nightmare. Like I love her. She's got a good heart, but like she's always like got some shenanigans. And so like people follow me like for her, not necessarily for business. But I mean, it makes them feel like they're not alone. So Instagram's cool that way, where you just like are more of a human being and you're more touchable. You know, so that coaching doesn't feel so overwhelming. If they're like, well, this girl gets jumped on by other dogs at the dog park and she's a coach, like I'm probably going to do well with this too.
Yeah, someone said it humanizes you. And once I heard it that way, I was like, okay, I'll let my guard down a little bit, you know, like that makes more sense.
And somebody told me too, they're like, well, think of like the Kardashians. They could make these Facebook posts and these beautiful Instagram posts, but we all kind of want to see what's behind the scenes. Like, what do they look like when they wake up? Like, what shoe do they put on first? Like, what toothpaste do they use? Like, all these like little things that you wouldn't think mattered, but to somebody else, like they do. Like, I follow some of these girls who I think are like amazing. And this one girl told me that she like, to whiten her teeth, she just uses like the charcoal pills. Like, she breaks them open and just, versus like buying the toothpaste or the powder. And like instantly just fell in love with her because I was like, you're a real person. Like, thank you. You spent $8 to whiten your teeth. Like, I like that. So it's like little stuff like that. Any other questions?
No, nobody tonight. Well, anything else, last words you wanted to add or final farewells?
I just maybe want to reiterate, like after going through all this and hearing my story, everybody has got one that's just as powerful, if not more. And, you know, don't like tell yourself, oh, it's not because they haven't been through this or whatever. Like, because your heart beats, because you're breathing, because you exist, that's all the accolades you need to impact somebody tremendously. And so I think that I wish I would have known that prior to. And now even still, it's like I have to remind myself of that. It's like you're significant because you're breathing, not because of what you've done or who, you know, your successful points or your rank or whatever else. But if you can focus on that, the type of energy you bring to your invites, the type of energy you bring to your life, it just overspills and it just you become magnetic. And so, you know, I think like if I could pass it on to like my team or anybody else, it's that. It's like you deserve it because you do.
Well, Alex, thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And like I said, I couldn't think of anyone better to kick this off and me to sit back and just hear your story. And thank you for your team members as well that joined us tonight. That was exciting.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor. I look up to you as a mentor and a friend. And so I love it. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.